Hello. This is basically a part two to the Lightworkers Lab session we did on pricing and selling and money. And we were just talking about abundance in general. In part one, I really just talked about, I focused more on selling and pricing. And I felt like I really wanted to spend a little bit more time on the money aspect and talking about that as well. I mentioned in part one that it's really important that we get to understand and have the awareness about what our money limitations are, our story, our fears around that, any blocks that we have, and really understanding where it's coming from. So, if you have family, childhood, like upbringing or cultural influences about money, any limiting beliefs and things like that you feel were instilled in you and growing up with, being a witness to different sorts of behaviors when it comes to money. I used a really good example yesterday of, two different people, one feeling like they have to hold on to money because they grew up in scarcity and didn't have a lot. And then another one. And so, what that mindset has really done is that it's brought them into this place as an adult, always feeling like they never have enough because their default is scarcity, and we have to hold on to the money because and no matter how much we have, it's never ever enough. The opposite side was someone who comes into into a home where they have enough money, but she sees her father burning out, stressed, sick, stress of the money, talking about money all the time, the absence of the parents because they're always working, and then always feeling like she can have money come in, but she's always letting it go. So it comes in and then out, comes in and out, comes in and out. What happens there is the inability to hold on to money. So you have one extreme and then the other. So this person is okay with receiving it, and this person is okay with receiving it to a point, but then won't let it go. And this person is okay with receiving it and then can't hold on to it and lets it go. They're just two examples. And I'd really encourage you to look into what your story is and what kind of patterns you see showing up and how that plays out in your day-to-day life, and what is the relationship you have with money. Now, I also have had examples of working with clients who feel really guilty about money, feel really guilty about it, feel guilty about making it. It doesn't feel like something that is attainable to them. And they feel like there is a real gap between who they are and having money or being of wealth, whatever that would mean for them. So this abundance gap exists because they actually don't even feel like that is something that is attainable to them, or even accessible at any level. Now, that happens for several different reasons. It can happen because, never had money, all of that kind of stuff. But it can also be that money was actually talked about as if it was something that was dirty, right? That was something that was not good. And it's become their story to avoid being wealthy. It makes them not relatable. There's all these different stories that come up. And that turns into this inability to actually make the money or to receive the money. So you can see that subconsciously we can either push away money through our patterns, and that starts with, I guess our the beliefs that we're having, our fears and that kind of stuff. So we are subconsciously really pushing away money, not allowing it to even come in. And we may have limits as well. Like we have a limit to the amount of money that will come in. And this idea of money being something that is, I guess, dirty, wealthy people are evil or they're not good people, and that it's bad to be wealthy, or it's not something that I want. I don't care about money. I don't need money. All of these kinds of ideas and stories in our that we may have adopted, all influence, again, this ability for us to make money and bring money in. Now, if you're feeling like that's you, and you also, so you struggle with money, but you also feel like that is something that, is your reality, is that you actually don't want to make money. Like subconsciously, you are blocking it. You don't want to bring it in because you actually don't feel like it's a good thing. You have to feel like money can offer you safety. You have to feel safe with money and comfortable with money. Now, I talked yesterday about even the fact that we don't really talk about it. I certainly was brought up in a home where we don't talk about money. And that's quite a normal, it's quite normal in most social circles, I think, in my culture, in the culture that I have been brought up in. And I don't think it's unusual. I certainly don't talk about money with my friends and family and that kind of stuff. So it is something that, if we do talk about it, it's almost like, kind of just avoid actually having a full discussion about it. The thing is, and I also have had people question me about things like my pricing. I actually had one person say to me, how can you charge that much? Or how can you charge at all? I remember when I first started, I had someone say to me, why are you trying to make money off doing healing work? It should be for free. So this really made me think about, wow, what do I believe about that? Is there something that is happening with me that I'm putting out there? Like, do I actually feel bad about charging money for this type of work? Is it because in my mind, you shouldn't have to charge for doing something from love? If this is my gift for the world, it should be free. I should help people for free. So again, I feel like we get these little pieces of insights into who we are and our limiting beliefs from the outside world. These people come into our life as these mirrors. And, another time, as I mentioned, I had someone question about the pricing. And I had this beautiful discussion about her. Actually, it turned into this because I was quite confident in my pricing, and I was able to really hold her in her lack. And we had this beautiful conversation, and I said to her, what is your money story? Like, why do you feel like I'm charging too much? And, we got into this beautiful conversation, and she said, she's a practitioner as well. And she just said, I'm not making any money. And she was not making any money. She couldn't turn this into a full-time job. And we really started talking about that. And what also came up for her was this idea that, yeah, we shouldn't charge. She thought that this stuff should be free. And so what happens is she ends up depleting herself because she's so attached to this belief that sharing her gift with the world should be free. And if you feel like there might be a bit of that, and it's very common, so if it is, I just want to say here, any limiting beliefs, any kind of thoughts that you have, any stories that you've told yourself, like any opinions you have about stuff, they're yours, first of all. They're your stuff. And you shouldn't be projecting it onto others. So if you have a problem with someone's pricing or someone's, someone speaking out about how much money they're making and that kind of stuff, look within first to see why you're triggered and notice that that might be something that you need to work through. But also, and this is way more important, this is a much more important point, please don't feel ashamed about it, because you're just doing the best that you can with what you have. And I know that when you do layers and layers of this work, you're just going to show up in a better position every single time. So for her, after we had this beautiful discussion and conversation, I talked to her about the fact that making money isn't a bad thing. Like, having money isn't a bad thing. If you are stressed out, depleted, can't show up 100% for your clients because you are feeling desperate, that you have stresses about, like, base level root chakra stresses, can't pay my bills, don't have a home that I can afford, I don't feel supported, I don't feel protected. All of those things are really, really important. I can't put food on my table. Like, that stuff needs to be worked out and feel safe, right? That you have to have that certainty and security before you can climb up the ladder. And if I am stuck in scarcity and I'm stuck in survival mode because I'm not bringing any money and not making any money, how can I show up? How can I possibly show up in the best possible place that I want to be in for my clients? So it's really important that you work in a way where you are trying to work through that stuff. You need to be working through that stuff in order to help you show up in the best way that you possibly can. If I don't believe in my highest expression, how can I try to believe and hold that space for clients? I can't. I really can't. And the reality is, on a very practical level, that I need to pay for shelter. I need to pay for food. I have a family to feed, right? I have very basic human needs. You are a human being having a human experience, right? Even though we know you are spiritual and your potential is infinite. And yes, ultimately, you don't need all of this stuff. None of us do, but we're living a very real life where you do need it in order to have the human experience that you came here for and to be able to show up and help others. So you need to get comfortable with this idea of getting paid and receiving the money. Again, when you sit there and try to ask your guides, I talked about this in yesterday's session, in part 1 of this. If you're trying to ask your guides for the right price and that kind of stuff, you won't often get those sorts of answers because they're very human level, and it doesn't matter. It just does not matter, right? You can pick a number that might feel good at a certain frequency. That's a little bit different. And go with that, follow that. But if you're trying to, I don't want you to feel like you need to, you need to be giving over your power and giving away your gifts for free. You can, though. You can, and it doesn't matter. But it has to feel like an energetic exchange all the time. Whenever that happens, you have to feel like you're not depleting your energy. Now, the reason why I have worked, the one thing that really changed my idea about making money and why that should feel good for us is because I understand now about new earth wealth distribution. And for the first time, money really made sense to me. When I stopped looking at it as though if you make more money, it means that you have fancy things and you live outside your means, and you're doing all this kind of like material stuff and, your, it doesn't always feel, for me, it doesn't always feel like that stuff actually matters and makes a difference in the world, which is what I'm here to do. I know that I'm here to make a difference in the world. That stuff's really nice. And I love pretty things. I love and I want to enjoy my life, and I don't want to feel like I'm in scarcity. But that stuff doesn't always light me up, right? What really lights me up is making a difference in someone's life. And I love understanding now that if I have money coming to my hands, the more money that I have coming to me, the more I get to choose. I get to make the decision about where that money goes out and who I get to distribute it to. And this is new earth wealth distribution, is putting money in the hands of people who are making a difference in the world. It's not about just assuming that someone who is wealthy or who's making a lot of money is just using it all for themselves and to make themselves, more comfortable, let's say, and enjoy their own lives better. But it's really seeing that we have this opportunity to choose who we're giving our money to. And I love knowing that the more money I make, the more I get to share that abundance with others. And that really, really made sense to me. And it resonates with me so much, because the money that I'm making, I get to give it over to, people who support me in helping my clients and my students. And these people are feeding their families, and they're also doing amazing things with their money. And I also get to pay people and tell them that I believe in them. And I believe in the work that they do. And that's amazing. This year, I gave away 6 Reiki scholarships, right? Because I had the means to. I was only going to give away 2. And then, you know what? I went through the applications and I was like, I can actually afford this year. And so I made that decision to give that money back. I give regularly to the Macaulay Community Centre for women who are domestic violence victims, because I strongly support that. I strongly support that charity, and I love the work that they do. And me having the ability to do that makes me so happy. It's not that all the money that I get coming in, I get to, buy a new car or a new house or whatever it is. It's actually that I'm really thinking about how I'm distributing my wealth. How do I distribute that? How can I help be creating the cycle that I want, the new earth that I want to live in? And this really shifted stuff for me. And I stopped thinking about wealth and money as something that is horrible, but I started realizing that it's actually an energy, and that the energy that we put in and the energy that we get out from it is just as important. So now, every time I have to spend money, I'm also so grateful for it. I'm so grateful that I get to choose where I'm spending this wealth. And when money comes in, I'm just as grateful. There's not one more than the other, because I understand it's a cycle, right? It's an absolute cycle. It's an energy exchange. And I am the creator of this. And I really invite you guys to start thinking about money that way. It's really about thinking about it in this way of not, I've got so many bills to pay, but thank God, thank goodness I've got, the means to pay for the phone so that I can access and help more people, and that I can connect to people who I can't see. How beautiful that I get to pay this bill for my heater, for my heating during winter, that I get to warm my family. Like, thinking about things differently like that. We often just see our relationship with money as, oh, Like it's something that we have to do. It's something that we don't have a choice about, but it is. I mean, the energy that you're putting into it and the energy that you're receiving it with, whether it is $1 or $100 or $1,000 or $1,000,000, like your energy should be the same. The gratitude should be the same. And when we're talking about gratitude, it's about actually holding that in your body, that vibration in your body. So, for you guys as Reiki practitioners, like Reiki the shit out of the receiving that money, and also when you were giving it. Earlier this year, I started a book, like a journal, and it was my money book. And I started actually taking note of every single dollar I would send that would come in and that would go out, not just for my business, but all my life. And I would write, that would be my journal. That was my journal. I was like writing and getting myself into this real habit of being in gratitude every time money would go out and in, and I would sit with everything. Took my daughters out for a baby chino today, at the cafe, and that $9 was so special. We had the best time together. Like that, that kind of stuff. I turned the money into the experience that I was having. So how can, I guess, starting to think about how is money actually helping you create moments, helping create the life that you really want. Start shifting what money is for you now and how it holds you back, and turn it into something that you are really ready and open to work with. Not because money is dirty or because, having too much money is a bad thing, but turning it into something of, it's a practical way that I get to really choose the type of world that I want to live in. Women have only been making money for not very long at all, only a few generations, right? And this is also part of it too. We have this real opportunity now as women who are making money and earning money for ourselves and for our families. We have this real opportunity to change the paradigm, to shift it, and turn it into something that we really want to create, something that we feel proud about. So I hope that helped a little bit more just on, just understanding about money and really helping you think differently about the money that you are making and bringing in to your business and what you're spending in your business as well. And I also really, really want to stress that you guys need to understand how money works, like how the practicalities of it. It shouldn't be something that stress you out. And if you feel like you are just getting more and more in debt, you need to take control of that, right? It needs to be something that you are in control of. Don't let money control you. I'd really encourage you. I'm not an advisor. This is not advice at all, but I really encourage you guys to seek out advice if you need it, or if you need help. And there are so many amazing books about money and managing money. I know so many of you have read Barefoot Investor. It is awesome. And I used to work with Scott Pave, and he is so awesome. I'd really encourage you to check that book out if you haven't already. There is a book called Happy Money, which I absolutely love, and really encourage you again. And that's where I got this idea of really blessing all the energy, the money coming in and out. And the other thing is, another great book I loved was Jen Sincero, her money. I'm a badass at making money. I think it's called. That was also really life-changing for me and awesome. So hopefully this has given you some stuff just to start working with. Of course, I'm always here to help you if you feel like you need some extra support through that stuff. But I know that just doing this work and just committing to even trying to change this stuff is just the beginning. See you later.